Back to another Main Event Broadcasting Network special edition. I'm joined by head coach Malcolm McMunn. I'm Billy Mangum, and today we will be talking about the women's side of the team for their preseason interview. Coach, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going to first talk about the women's side of the team. So give us a little, we're just going to sit here and get to know the team a little bit, your expectations and everything. So first off, what is the tournament that you're looking forward to most for the women's side?
Well, we're looking forward to all of them. I think the event that we're most looking forward to get back to is Huntington's event in Montgomery. We had some success there last year. Obviously, we're down a few players than we were last year, but not having Cat Hodge with us this year is going to hurt. Having that solid score in the 70s. But we're excited to get the season rolling, and I feel like we've got a pretty good schedule.
I completely agree. Cat was a big player here last year. So speaking about the Montgomery Country Club Invitational, last fall the women's team actually won that event. So talk a little bit about how their victory last year helped kind of mold their season, and how doing good in that first tournament is kind of like a big motivator for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we got out to a strong start. It was almost bad in a way, if you could say that, for us, because we kind of felt like we got a little complacent. Like we went down there, and we didn't play our best, but we played well enough to win. And I think that mindset carried over into our next couple of events and into our next couple of rounds. And we didn't play our best. We didn't post very many good numbers. And then a few weeks later, when we went to the Golf Week Fall Preview, we had a really bad day. I had a really good talk with the girls after that round, and we sat down, we regrouped, and kind of refocused. We played some better golf. Our scores didn't get any better, but we played better golf. But yeah, we're excited because of the success we had there in Montgomery last year. It's a fun golf course. It's always fun to go down there. And then the course is always in perfect shape.
That's awesome. So speaking on, you don't have many girls returning. You only have 2 returners this year. That would be Ashton and Courtney. Courtney being a senior this year, so you're going to have another senior kind of leading the pack. Describe what kind of impact those 2 specifically are going to provide this year, kind of helping make sure that they don't get complacent, like you said last year, winning that first event, and keeping everything rolling and always pushing to get better.
Yeah, you mentioned the experience we've got coming back. Courtney being a senior, we also have a transfer coming in from Bruce Marker, Mallory Smith. So she's not a typical first-year player for us. She's had some experience in the past in collegiate events. So we're excited to see kind of how she molds into and fits into Courtney and Ashton, and now with Julie as a freshman. With 3 girls who have been through the process before of traveling and studying on the road, and staying in hotels and stuff like that, they can kind of help lead her into start the season. And again, going back to Montgomery for our first event is kind of a home away from home feeling for us because we've had some success there. But it'll be really nice to have Courtney as a senior. So far this year, she's been a really good leader. She's been at the golf course a lot practicing. Ashton's doing the same. She's been out there a ton, trying to get a little bit better. And of course, class scheduling, it kind of hinders them every once in a while getting out there. But I feel like we're going to have a really solid season.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. So you recently acquired a new assistant coach, Parker Rowland. Describe how he's helping you with the women's side and kind of how important that is to get that extra piece of coaching staff.
Yeah, it's very important to have an individual who you can, kind of throw to the wolves, so to speak. We're not doing that. It's, this fall, the way the schedules have kind of been scheduled, all of our events, it's the men are going this weekend, the women are going the same weekend. So it's nice to be able to say, you're with the women, I'm with the men, and that's how it is. And he's not scared. That's what he wanted. So That's what he's getting.
That's awesome.
But he's been a huge help for us, not just for me, but for the players. And in the past couple of years, it's felt like for me, I'm kind of doing the players an injustice by not being there to practice every day.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's able to be there every day and work with the girls, every day in practice. And last year, the year before, was more, I'd work with the men this day and the women the next day, the men next day. And I kind of felt like they were not getting the proper, teaching and coaching and on-course management that they needed daily to improve.
Mm-hmm. So talking about, you definitely feel like there's definitely going to be a more intense coaching presence for the women's side because you're not having to split your time. They can have their own individual working with them and everything. Describe some of the goals and expectations that you and him have both set for the women's program, just maybe like 2 or 3.
Well, we really don't like to have expectations, but the goals for us at the moment to go and play, we talk about this all the time, is don't worry about the results. Go out and hit each shot to the best of your ability, and then the results will take care of themselves. So that's kind of our main goal. We haven't really spoken of goals much this year yet, but we do talk a lot about focusing on one shot at a time. If you accomplish each shot to the best of your ability, by the time you make that last putt on 18, more than likely that number in the scorecard there is going to be a pretty solid rank. Mm-hmm. And then you become task-oriented versus result-oriented.
So it's kind of, you guys want to repeat the process and focus more on the process rather than the results.
Correct.
Just to always improve them and keep them going. So Coach, on the flip side, we're going to take a look at the men's team and just kind of look at their season. What tournament in the fall are you looking forward to specifically this year for them?
At the moment, I'm looking at our event because it's our first event.
Mm-hmm.
That is, first event's going to be Monday, Tuesday, September 8th and 9th. Not a huge field, but it gives us the opportunity to play everybody on the roster. It gives everybody the chance to have some experience and get their feet wet with some college golf, especially the freshmen coming in. And it also gives the returners the chance to kind of knock some rust off and kind of get back in the groove of playing some tournament golf and getting those nerves and kind of the mindset you need to have outside of qualifying and outside of just playing every day. But right now that's the only event I'm focused on is trying to play the best we can play at our event, and then as soon as that event's over with, it's on to the next, which is the next day.
Yes, sir. That's a great mentality. And as you mentioned, first event coming up Monday and Tuesday at the Orchard Golf and Country Club. Describe what you see that experience going to the 4 new freshmen that you have coming in, and how that's going to kind of help them, get their bearings, so to speak, and kind of start off on the right foot. They're comfortable. This is the course that they practice on. This is the course that they shoot at almost every day. And just that kind of comfortability, transitioning from high school to college golf, and how that's going to work out for them.
It's funny because the 4 guys we have coming in all have 4 different types of experience of playing in golf. So it's, and all 4 of their types of experiences are different, and they're good in ways and bad in ways. Obviously, none of them play college golf yet, so I'm anxious to see how they all, nerves and then how well they play and how well they kind of adapt to, it is college golf, but it's also just tournament golf. Mm-hmm. So they played who knows how many tournaments before they got here. So it's kind of their mindset. We've talked about this a lot with the freshmen. It's just another round of golf. It's just another tournament round of golf. So let's just go play golf. It helps us being at home, like you said, because it kind of gives them, I wouldn't say a comfort zone, but it gives them more of an opportunity to be a little more laid back and understand, I do hit this club on this hole every day, and you're not questioning certain yardage. So, yeah, I'm excited to see, anxious to see those guys play and see what they can do. And also our event is our 2-day events to qualify for our next event. So there's a little bit more added pressure to our event because it is a qualifier for our next event. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the guys kind of handle that extra little nervousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that should definitely make it a little bit more interesting. Speaking on that, you only have 2 seniors, so this season, as much as it is important for them, we don't want to diminish what they've done here, Richie Etheridge and James McMillan, but you're building for the future, so to speak, where you got a lot of young players. We're going to talk about Jake Forbes, who shot in the low to mid 70s pretty much all year, and so you're really building for the future. So going back to those 3 players specifically, the 2 seniors and the sophomore, Jake, what kind of roles do you see them falling into this year, and how did their experience that they've had in the past, and Forbes' pretty much outstanding season last year, how do you plan on using that this year?
Right. Well, we talk about leadership all the time, and one thing about this season versus last year, year 4, we have a lot of depth. With 9 guys on the roster this year, we have a ton of depth. So if somebody's going through a couple of weeks slump, then somebody else is just going to jump right in and take over for that same spot. With the 2 seniors, they've been through the process for 3 years. They've been in my system for 2 years. They understand kind of what I'm looking for, kind of what I want out of practice, out of workouts and everything. And their roles will be different. James is more of a verbal leader and try to gives you advice and helps you out doing. Mm-hmm. James is a really smart kid. He's had a 4.0 pretty much every semester here. So he understands what it takes as you're traveling and as you're studying, and to combine it all in a good balance. Richie will be good because of the experiences he's been through, barely missing qualifier, being just barely left out as a 6th man a couple of times last year, and understanding that in case something like that happens this year with one of the freshmen, he's going to be there and say, look, man, I've been through this and I understand what's going on. Just go get better. I feel good about our leadership, but also, we've got a couple of freshmen that are going to come in and be a different type of leadership. I'm expecting them to come in and possibly be our number 1, number 2, and at worst 2 or 3. So that's a different type of leadership. You've got playing leaders and then you've got verbal leaders. Mm-hmm. And I think Richie and James are going to fall more into the verbal leaders. If they step up, that'd be great for us. I'm excited to see those guys are motivated because it's their last year to play kind of like y'all. So they've really put in a lot of time and effort at practice, trying to get better. And they understand that with such a large freshman class coming in, that you can't just kind of go out and lollygag and qualify and make it now. You have to go post good scores. So, and that's going to help us. Qualifiers are going to help us now prepare us for tournaments. Mm-hmm. And like last year, we had a couple of times 85 qualified for tournaments. So, we're done with those days. I'm glad we're done with those days. But that's the mentality that these guys are going to have now. Mm-hmm. Is, I got to come to a qualifier and be ready to play. I can't just show up and expect to, hack it around and qualify.
Yeah. Well, it's always good to have a good mixture of leaders and everything. You have different dynamics that really, have the possibility to mold the team even closer. So we talked about the 2 seniors. So describe, Jake Forbes had an outstanding season last year, and just kind of what you see, not necessarily what you want from him, but kind of like what you want to see him do and achieve, and his kind of like role on the team.
Yeah, Jake had a good season for us last year. He struggled a little bit in the spring, and I'm not sure if that was just the overwhelming effect of the spring schedule being so compressed and jumping right back into, we were in school for a month, and then obviously the weather was not great, so we didn't get very much practice time for our first event. And then we just kind of threw him to the wolves, so to speak, there
In the
practice season. And then we almost had 0 practice time, and guess what? It's time to travel and start playing again. So hopefully the weather this spring will be a little nicer to us, so we can get a couple weeks of practice in. But yeah, Jake, we're excited. He's playing some pretty solid golf right now, and he's been a solid leader for the incoming guys. He's out there all the time. He's in the gym all the time working out. So it's nice to see somebody, taking that leadership role. And Joseph Morris the same way. They both just kind of, wherever they go, everybody just seems to kind of gravitate towards them. And it's nice because those two guys are always either on the golf course or in the gym.
They're doing good things.
They're
They're
doing
moving in a good
things.
direction.
Exactly. So it's exciting for me to see. It blows my mind. I had Joe in the office the other day, and I'm sitting there talking to him, and he looked at me and he said, "I'm a junior." I said, "There's no way you're a junior." Yesterday you were a freshman, so, But so it's nice to be able to, when he realizes that, and he told me, looked me in the face and said, "I'm a junior," and he knows that his role is starting to change. And he understands that he's going to have to be more of a leader towards these younger guys coming in. So having Jake and Joe returning is going to help us a ton.
That's awesome. Well, we actually were fortunate enough to get out there and see you guys practice, and we can definitely attest to the hard work that they're putting in, and very, very specific things that you guys are working on. And just give us, you said you didn't like to talk about the expectations and what you expect, but just kind of some of the maybe personal and team goals that you have for the team this year, because there's no short of talent or players that we've talked about. And obviously, they're going to put the work in. They're going to have the work ethic to go after and get it, which is probably the greatest thing you can hear as a coach, is to know that your guys want to do it.
Right.
So describe some of the goals that you have for not only the team, but maybe a few specific players.
I think on the men's side this year, our main goal, like the women's side, is to take it shot by shot. You never want to get ahead of yourself. But I did mention something to the guys the other day about they get so wrapped up in scoring, and numbers and all this, and par and bogey and birdie, and I want them to start focusing more on each hole just made a number. I made a 3 there. I made a 4 here, because then you're not worried about, did I make a par, did I make a bogey, and then you get wrapped up and I just made 4 bogeys in a row, and then you have this mental breakdown. And when you just look at it as numbers, after 18 holes, you add up all those numbers and you look and say, "Oh, that's a pretty good score." Mm-hmm. And I think that mentality this year is going to help us not focus so much on the final number. I mean, we had so many times last year, so many events we played really, really well the first day, and then it was almost like we were scared to play well again. So I feel like that mentality this year of, it's just a number, if it's 295, 305, 325, it's just a number, who cares? Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to help us the next day. And it helps me a little bit to understand, seeing those guys go through what we went through last year, and kind of understanding on my side how to deal with those situations. I feel like we're going to have a more consistent year, definitely from day 1 to day 2. And also the scheduling this year. We've dropped an event at Maryville, and we've added Royal Lake, which is us by Oakland. So we've put the guys in opportunities to succeed and to advance on the national stage. It's just kind of that mentality of, do they want to kind of take the bull by the horn, so to speak, and advance and get kind of over that hump into that next level.
Well, that's awesome, and we definitely hope the best for you. But thank you for joining us here today, and good luck with the season.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for joining us on a Main Event Broadcasting Network special sit down with head coach McMunn. I am Billy Mangum, and we'll see you next time.